Today I'm going to show you how to set up the straight shooter laser training system. I'm going to go through setting up standard mode first, then arcade mode. I'll show you how to set it up properly so it works. Please watch this whole video to see common mistakes that people make when setting this up. First, let's set up standard mode. Step 1. Load the laser cartridge into your firearm. Obviously, don't be an idiot. There should never be any live ammo in the same room as this setup. Clear your weapon before you bring it into the room. Also, never use a magazine to load the laser. Just simply open the slide, insert the laser firmly into the chamber, and then take a few shots. If you fire the laser and it seems like it's not hitting where you're aiming, remove the laser, turn it a quarter of a turn, and put it firmly back into the chamber with your finger. Once you've got the laser set up, the next step is to download the Straight Shooter app from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. Step 3. Download and print the paper targets. The link to these can be found inside the Straight Shooter app or at yankeethunder.com. Simply print them and tape them to a wall. Next, you're going to set up your tripod and put your phone on it. Open the Straight Shooter app and select Single Shooter Mode. This will open up the camera view and it will begin searching for a target. Now the targets have all of these little symbols in the corner. This helps it identify the target and triangulate where the laser hits. Now a couple of important points here. Some lasers on the market don't have the right size laser beam or it's not bright enough. So if you're using a laser other than the Straight Shooter laser, that might be your problem. In standard mode, you'll want the room to be fairly well lit. The brighter is usually the better because the crisper the image can be on the target. If your phone doesn't autofocus, you might try tapping the screen to make sure the picture comes in clear. When your phone can finally see all four corners of that target, it will give you a green check mark and allow you to proceed. Now, you may want to adjust where the camera is, how close it is to the target. You want to get close enough that it can see all four corners of that target. And wait till you get the green check mark. Your setup, your camera can usually detect the target up to a 45-degree angle, so you can move the tripod closer if you need to. Okay, now let's talk about the setup for arcade mode. The big difference here is that you're also going to set up a projector, usually on a tripod, and project it onto a blank wall. Each projector is a little bit different, so you got to follow the instructions for your projector. But usually you're going to plug your phone into a projector and then change the input on the projector to allow you to do screen mirroring. In this case, I'm going to plug it into the HDMI port since that's what I'm plugged into here. Now you can see here that also I'm using a cable. You do not want to use the over-the-air or AirPlay or anything like that because there's too much of a lag between the phone and projecting it and screen mirroring it over Wi-Fi. It's not going to work. So you need to have a direct cable plugged into your phone, okay? That's the only way you're going to get it to work without a lag and have some accuracy, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and plug this in to my phone like this. And you can see now it's mirroring here, okay? Now that I've got this plugged in, let's talk about the lighting differences for arcade mode. Pay close attention here. It'll save you a lot of heartache. The brighter your projector, the better it'll work. I recommend a projector with over 7,500 lumens because I like to practice with the lights on so I can see the sights of my firearm. Now, if you're using a projector with lower lumens, you basically have to have the room dark, okay? If you're using something with 2,500 or 3,000, it'll still work, but you need to have pretty much a dark room. You can't have any lights, no windows or anything like that. The camera, the trick is here that the camera needs to be able to pick up on those corner targets when I go there. So I'm actually going to adjust mine. Mine's not quite in focus. I want to get a good, solid focus. Okay. Then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go single shooter. Now I'm going to come down and pick from the these other targets. So I'm going to do a single moving target. Now the camera has to be able to get all four corners. And you know that happens when you get the green check mark, okay? You may need to adjust where your camera is or your phone. Okay, so just moving my tripod a little bit, getting the phone in a little bit better position makes me get a solid. The camera needs to be able to pick up these corner icons crisp and clear. So the brighter a projector is, the better it will work. Okay, now you want to make sure it's in focus. Look at each of the symbols in the corner. If one of them's not in focus, it's going to lose its ability to track. I'm going to lose it here in just a second because I can't see that. Okay, so you want to make sure it's all four corners as crisp as you can, and you're going to have the best experience. Okay, there we go. Now I got it adjusted. Okay, if they aren't crisp, you're going to get some erratic behavior. Okay, often the top will be more crisp than the bottom, so you got to adjust the tilt on it to make sure that it's all crisp. Another thing, you want to experiment with the placement of the phone. You want it to point forward towards the targets, but if there's any light spots on the target or glare, it might have some problems. So actually right now, see my hands going over and I'm making some shadows in here, it's messing it up. Once I step back and I begin shooting, there's not going to be any shadows on the target, so it's not going to start flipping back and forth. Okay, it's very sensitive to light, and it needs to have a crisp, clear image. If you're using a projector with lower lumens, like 2500 lumens, it still might work, but you're going to have the room pretty much dark. The camera needs to be able to pick up these four corner icons crisp and clear. So a brighter projector makes it work much better. Okay. Next, you want the projection to be super in focus. Look at each of the corner symbols, and if any one of them is not crisp, you want to adjust because it will affect the ability to track. If they aren't crisp, it's just not going to work. So make sure you adjust the tilt of the thing. Like some of them are in focus and some of them aren't, you're going to want to make sure you get as crisp and as clear in focus as you can, and then it's going to work best. Next, you're going to want to experiment with the placement of the phone. You want to point it at the projected image, but any light spots or glare are going to interfere with the camera's ability to see the target. If you can, you want to fill the screen with the image of the projector, okay? And when it has the target, when it has acquired all of the pieces, it will give you the green check mark and then give you a target to begin firing, okay? Once you have gone through that process, it will work. Now, if you're getting erratic behavior where it shows you the target and then you get a green check mark and then it shows you the target and it keeps going back and forth, that means there's either some light hitting the target, some shadows, or you're not in focus, okay? Little things make a big difference. You need to have a crisp, clear, consistent picture. If I start to block a little bit of this over here, it's going to lose the target, okay? And it will try to reacquire it, but if there's glare or something going in front of it, it's going to lose the ability to track, okay? So you need to make sure you have a clean room. Try dimming the room if it's getting that behavior, making sure there's no lights or shadows on the side of that. Again, if there's blinds, close the blinds. You don't want a lot of natural light. Now, again, the better your projector is, the brighter your projector is, the less issues you're going to have. You can have a really bright, if you have 12,000 lumen projector, you're not going to have any issues because it is going to be blazing light right on there, and you will be able to be in a good spot. Now, if you're using a low-end projector, 2,500, 3,000 lumens, consider getting a better one, or you're going to shoot in the dark. But if you want to be able to see your sights, you're going to need a little bit better projector, okay? Now, let's talk about one other thing. If your app is stable, meaning you have a consistent target, okay? You're not getting the flashing between the green check and back in here, but it's not picking up shots, it probably means that your laser isn't bright enough, okay? Again, our lasers have a dot that's big enough to be picked up by the camera. Some cheaper competitors' ones are not bright enough or don't have a big enough point area to pick up. So consider trying a different laser. If you still have issues, make sure you have good batteries. Sometimes when batteries get low, the laser light gets a little bit dimmer, a little bit smaller. Try switching out the batteries to see if that will help you. Also, make sure your camera has a high resolution camera. If you're using an iPhone or greater, it should work. However, if you're using an Android and your camera doesn't shoot in 4K, it might not be good enough camera to work on the phone. Also, there are a few Android phones that don't allow video to be mirrored over the USB-C cable connection. If yours doesn't work, try using a different phone. If you can't get anything to project from your projector onto the thing, it's probably your phone is one of those ones that doesn't support projection or video through that cable, okay? Try using it on a different phone, see if that helps. We also have a little quiz on the website where you can put in your phone to see if it supports USB-C mirroring. Okay, now hopefully that solves most of your problems. If you have any problems or troubleshooting, okay? You want to set up the camera. Remember, any light, I'm making shadows right here because I got light right here, so I'm giving it some problems. If I step back here, I'm not going to have any more problems because I'm not making any shadows. But because I'm making shadows, I'm getting some erratic behavior on here, right, where it loses the target. It needs to have all 4 of those things crisp and clear. Brightness matters. The angle of the camera matters. Mess around with it. But the biggest issue is usually that the room is not dark enough or the projector's not bright enough. Okay? Those are your 2 biggest things. Okay? Once you've got it set up and you're in this mode, then it's time to have some fun.